Have you ever felt those butterflies in my stomach to do something with all the love in the hope that it would be more than just the food? Maybe it's a recipe that brings back memories of childhood in an attempt to connect you with that special someone, or even just a way to show how much you care. This is a Black woman with gray hair and the hands that carry years of history and spending hours in the kitchen by carefully choosing the ingredients, adjusting the seasonings, with a heart full of hope. She's not in the kitchen, only to nourish the body, but also nourish the soul, to create a moment of togetherness, of love. So if you feel like you are part of something bigger than themselves, every detail, every move is made with the intention of conveying all the love and respect in an attempt to show that, in spite of the difficulties, and it deserves to be seen and appreciated. Stay with me till the end, because this story reveals the fact that many of the people living in it, often without even realizing it, and that it can make you think about the value of love, dignity, and recognition. What are you going to find out now? You will be surprised. After all, it's not always what it is to be prepared with the most dedication to get to the same level of intensity. Sometimes a simple attitude, you can turn the entire narrative, revealing the feelings inside, prejudices and hidden, and the injustice and quiet. And so, as a woman, many others are facing a similar situation, where A is the stress, and the effect seems not to be sufficient to be able to pass through an invisible wall of exclusion. The story that I am going to share, it's strong, it's real, and above all else, it is a call for empathy, because deep down, we all want to be seen, heard, and respected, no matter what our color, the origin story. So, get ready to embark on a journey that begins with a hope, but it also reveals the pain and the challenges faced by those who are often left out even when she offers her best. And remember, the next thing that happens is to go beyond a simple meal that is a reflection of who we are and how we can change the world around us, one act at a time. If you can identify with the story or a story that touches the heart, and I want to invite you to share in the comments. In your experience, opinion, or feeling, you can inspire anyone who is on the other side of the screen to look beyond the words and understand that no one is alone in this journey, the quest for understanding and respect. Oh, and if this video has touched in any way to your heart, and leave a like. It is a simple yet powerful to show that the content makes sense for you and to build the community of people who believe in change through dialogue and empathy. And of course, if you want to continue with that kind of history, the ideas that make us think and grow, please subscribe to the channel. Your being here is what makes it such a space to exist, to grow, and to reach more and more people in it. So how do you want to build a world that is more fair and welcoming, one step at a time? After all, this journey is only possible when we are together, supporting one another. So don't hesitate to comment, like, and subscribe, because every gesture, and it makes all the difference in the continuation of this conversation, is just as important. And now we're going to move forward, because there's still so much more to come from this story that we are building together. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because a lot of times it's the transformation that we seek. It starts exactly at the point where we've decided to look beyond our own limits, as well as the stories that we tell to ourselves, and we end up creating a sort of invisible wall between who we are and who we can become. It is as if, for a long time, we were stuck in a sort of loop, where our thoughts, beliefs, and even the little daily decisions reinforce a narrative of disability, fear, or confusion. So, at this point, everything seems to be the most difficult and most distant, almost as if we were walking against a river current is invisible, which prevents us from moving forward. When, however, we were able to identify these patterns built in, something that is starting to change. It's like, all of a sudden, a bright light began to shine a light on the darkest corners of the mind, revealing the hidden truth, which until then remained hidden behind a wall of insecurities. At this stage, we realize that a lot of these limiting beliefs have been built up over the years, influenced by the experiences of the past, through the atmosphere around us, or even for those who have accepted it without question. But, at the same time, we are not aware that they are nothing but stories, and they can write back. Every negative thought, every label that we created for ourselves, it can be undone with a simple change of perspective. To change this mentality, it's a journey that requires courage, yes, but it's also a dose of brutal honesty with ourselves and others. It must be admitted that, try as we might, we can't change everything at one time or another, and that's the way it is often made up of many ups and downs, the mistakes, and new beginnings. The key is to understand that each and every decision, however small they may seem to you, it has the potential to impact profoundly on this process. A decision to lift up one morning with a different attitude, to make choices that are more conscious, than to surround yourself with people who lift your spirits. This is all part of a chain of actions that, when added together, can lead to a real transformation. And then here comes the one concept that many find over the course of the journey, the importance of having a growth mindset. It means to see the difficulties as well as opportunities for learning, recognizing that mistakes are not failures, but the steps needed to grow and develop, and, above all, believe in the power of change lies within each and every one of us. This is a change of mentality. It's like a seed that, once planted, it begins to grow slowly, but with a surprise. It is a silent revolution that is happening on the inside, and that is shaping our attitudes. We refine our choices choices, and that, little by little, it makes us realize that we are capable of so much more than we might have previously thought. To understand this dynamic, we can begin to see how small daily actions can have a huge impact on our journey. A simple act of gratitude to talk openly with someone who inspires you, read it broadens our view of all this. It works as a catalyst in this transformation, because deep down, that this change of mindset is not a matter of effort, end, or complicated strategies as it is a change of attitude towards life, and a willingness to look with honesty and courage. And the more we go deeper in the understanding of, the clearer it becomes that it's the truth hides behind all this, is that we are primarily responsible for creating our own reality, to write our story of perseverance. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because this is a journey of self-discovery that is encompassed by the revelation that many of the times we get to the surprise a few moments where we realize that in our own decisions and our actions shape our impact on the world around us. It's a kind of awakening to a new consciousness where all of the things that seem to be out of our control happens to be the sense that we are the authors of our story and the architects of our own destiny. And then, when we assume this responsibility, we have begun to understand that real change requires a much deeper connection with your values, what's really important, and a willingness to let go of old patterns that no longer serve you more. This also shows that the transformation is not a straight line, but it's a journey full of twists and turns, ups and downs, moments of doubt, and of uncertain change. With each step forward, the demand for a renewed courage and a willingness to reinvent himself, to challenge the status quo, built in. It is in constant motion, they find the biggest revelation, that we can, however, go beyond our own limitations, our decisions have no weight, and that the impact of a change in the mentality of the echo is not only in our own lives, but also for those that are around us. This is the true essence of growth. To realize it, to change our way of thinking about it, we are contributing to a transformation of the wider, more powerful, more real. And so, to deepen this understanding, it becomes clear that what really drives us is a mixture of hope and the will to evolve, and in a constant quest for authenticity. These are the elements that create the environment for new opportunities arise. They encourage us to continue, even when things seem hard or hopeless. Because deep down, we know that change begins within, and this, when powered by a mindset strong and aware of, turns out to be a very strong force, is able to break down barriers, opened doors, and reveal to the best of our ability. And in that flux of discovery, the journey becomes an experience of transformation, which has not, in the end, the journey is worth it to be traced with a spirit of courage, hope, and above all, the assurance that we have been able to create a new reality, a reality that reflects the best of who we can be. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation, happens not only with the change of the external actions, but also in the way that our mindsets in the face of the revelations, which were discovered in the course of the journey. It's as if suddenly a curtain was open, and the light of the truth that is hidden by the years began to light up from every corner of the interior, resulting in a kind of an impact that is quiet, but the deep echo of our daily decisions. And that is exactly where the magic happens. When you start to see the behind the scenes of our lives are shaped by the choices that you often do without realizing it, driven by deep-seated beliefs or standards that do not always serve us anymore. From this perspective, we begin to understand that change is not a matter of willpower or the imposition. It is a matter of alignment with what we truly believe to be our purpose. And then, sometimes, this aim seems to be hidden behind the layers of insecurity, fear, or even have a routine in anesthesia. It is at this point that the US is in need of an extra dose of bravery to challenge those truths built in, because by doing so, we open up space for a sort of a silent revolution in the mind, which influences everything around us. This revolution is not that loud. It is a very subtle, almost like a breeze, and take away all the old doubts, replace it with a new hope that we can rewrite the story we tell ourselves. And then, when you dive deeper into this universe of possibilities, we can begin to understand that our choices are not as random as it seems. They carry the burden of a huge impact, because each and every one of them, it's like a seed planted in our own history. And then, just like a tree that is a strong need for roots is well established in our decisions, they need a solid foundation of self-knowledge and an understanding of our true motives. When we are able to see beyond the surface, we see that a lot of the limitations that seem to be insurmountable are in fact constructs of the mind, that we can dismantle the power of awareness and a willingness to evolve. In this journey of self-discovery and the revelations of the most significant, many times, from behind the scenes of our own unconscious, what is hidden in the beliefs that shape our attitudes, and often we don't even know who we are. Uncovering these secrets, it is how to open up a door to a new world of possibilities, and where your fear, lose the strength in the face of the courage to look within yourself and with honesty. This is where your journey to become a real transformation from the inside to the outside, and a change in attitude, which is reflected in every decision, every relationship, and how we view the obstacles on a daily basis. When you realize that the connection between what we believe and what we've achieved, it is clear that the impact of the journey goes much further than the present moment. moment. It reverberates in our history, forging a new path. A new narrative is that it gives you the most meaning to our lives. And to the extent that such an understanding will be building, we began to realize that the transformation is a daily choice, a decision, to keep alive the flame of hope and courage even in the face of adversity. Thus, each step taken in the direction of self-knowledge, which is possible thanks to silent, which strengthens our hearts, preparing us for the challenges ahead, you always will come. But for now, with the mentality of a renewed and unshakable faith in the power of change lies within each and every one of us. And at this point, it is evident that such a journey, it is a continuous loop, a sort of dance between the inside and outside. Each of the discovery beckons in a new decision, and every decision will strengthen our progress. It is as if we are building it brick by brick, a new version of ourselves, more aligned and more aware and more resilient. And in the process, we have found that the greatest impact comes not only from the action outside, but from the love of self and confidence in our own ability to transform, and to understand that the truth is hidden. It was always there, just waiting for the right moment to come out in the open and show us just how much we are capable of rewriting our own stories. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the real change is not only a decision-making moment or for an external force that pushes us forward. It is, in the majority of cases, an understanding of the silent, almost that it is a revelation of the inner, which begins to grow slowly, like a seed that germinates in your soul. It is at this point that I'm beginning to realize that all the things that seemed to be an insurmountable obstacle, it turned out to be a building of our own limitations, or mental health. These limitations, which are often created by your fears, doubts, and beliefs that you don't even realize that we are what we carry. And this discovery is, the more it may sound daunting, it's liberating, because it gives us the power to break down the lies we have been taught to you from time to time. When you enter this understanding, we can begin to understand that true transformation requires a shift in mindset. Don't you just want to change the look and feel of things, or to make small, specific actions? It is necessary. A revolution in the homeland is a transformation that changes the way we see the world and ourselves. It's like all of a sudden, we see behind the curtain, behind the scenes of a play, where there were no masks, and the roots are pre-established. Each and every decision taken, each and every response, is heavily influenced by the narrative of hidden charge, often without realizing it. When we are able to break through that layer of illusion, and then it starts to make more sense of it, and the impact of this revelation echoes in every area of our lives. Along the way, the truth, the hidden, is no longer something foreign, and it is a matter of self-discovery. After all, it's really on the limit is not the external circumstances, but in the way that we interpret our circumstances. This change in perspective is a huge key to the dawn of a new mindset, able to drive the action, which before would have seemed impossible. It is a process of excavation, and the constant, it is about having the courage to face up to what is deepest within us, including your emotions, repressed desires, and the dreams are left behind. When you come to know that we are the authors of our own story, it all begins to change in a way that is more natural, more real. And then, when you revisit these behind the scenes to internal, we see that freedom is just as authentic. When one is freed from the bondage of outside expectations and opinions of others, we find that the real power to make decisions for ourselves. This freedom, however, is not something you conquer the day and into the evening. It is the result of an ongoing journey of self-discovery, where each step reveals a new layer of hidden potential. It is at this point that we understand that the truth is hidden. It's always been there, waiting for the right moment to reveal it, because it is an intrinsic part of who we are. Our biggest challenge is to accept that as the truth, embrace it, and use it as fuel to move forward, even in the face of the difficulties that stand in the way. To understand this, we can begin to understand the impact of this change is not only a home, but is reflected outwardly in a way that no one can deny it. The people around us realize that a change, even if they don't know exactly what happened in the back of our common stock, it is like an energy, a silent but powerful. It overflows from the inside out, changing the way in which we interact, how we face those obstacles, and how you see the opportunity. And then, in the stream of self-awareness, we realize that each and every decision, no matter how simple it may seem, it has a huge weight on our journey of evolution. After all, every choice is an opportunity to reaffirm our authenticity, our courage, and our faith in its capacity to transform everything around us. For this reason, each and every step we take on this journey of discovery, and we believe that the real impact comes from the inside out. And this realization leads to a higher conscious level, where the reality of what we live goes on to reflect what we believe to be possible. When we align our actions with this in mind, we opened up the space to experience that before seemed to be far away or unattainable. The key is persistence, the courage to continue, even when the way seems difficult, because it is precisely at this point that our true strength is revealed. And that's where everything connects for the processing, as well as the truth that is hidden, and the impact that we can create our own story, and for those that are around us. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the the journey of transformation, a lot of the times, reveals that the greatest battle is not out there, on the difficulties of the outside, but inside we are the same. It's in your mind. In your mind, what are the real barriers to progress? Many times, we are subatoms with the thoughts, limiting beliefs, deep-seated. They look so natural that you don't even realize the power they have over our daily decisions. Those little voices in the internal, full of doubts and fears, and create a ripple effect that impacts all around us, influencing from the way in which we view the obstacles to the chances of actually persists in what we believe to be important to you. The transformation begins here, in a change of mind. It is important to understand that our everyday decisions, however small it may seem, helps to shape our own destiny. Every choice, every affirmation of faith is like a seed that you have sown, and that, over time, to flourish or die, depending on the care you give it to her. And, in the process, which many people do not realize, is that the truth, which is hidden by the back of the success or failure, often lies in our ability to recognize that these saboteurs and internal work to reprogram your mind. That takes courage, because a lot of times it's easier to run away in the face of everything that limits us. But that is exactly what is the real impact on the decision to change our thinking, challenging the status quo in our own heads. On the other hand, such a change of mind will also open the doors for a more in-depth understanding of the behind-the-scenes of our lives. The revelations begin to emerge when you stop and examine our actions in a new light, free from the filters of insecurity and self-criticism, stress. It is as if a curtain was lifted up, and you start to look beyond what seemed to be obvious, however, the understanding of the factors that are hidden that will influence our decision-making. These factors may be related to past experiences, beliefs, or inherited patterns of behavior that have been with us for years, often without our realization. But to acknowledge these roots, we can start to let go of them, creating a new narrative, a story of overcoming that which is born of the awareness and the willingness to continue to evolve. And to make this a more in-depth in our history, we begin to realize the impact we can make in the lives of others. Because of the transformation that takes place inside of us is not confined to the personal level. It radiates outward, reaching for the environment around us. People are coming to realize these changes, even in the silence, and that ends up influencing their decisions. When we have the examples of patience, of courage in the face of our own ghosts, we create a stream from the impact of that is going above and beyond what we could ever imagine. It is as if we are writing a new chapter in the narrative conference, where the truth is hidden, it is unveiled, little by little, revealing a potential that a lot of times we don't even know I had. During this time, a look behind the scenes of our day-to-day will become even more intense. We have found that often, the obstacles that seemed insurmountable were the only evidence is disguised as challenges. And then, when you run into them, they realize that true strength comes from within, the mind is strengthened and made a conscious decision to keep on going, even when everything around us seems to conspire against you. It is at this point that the story really changes. The narrative is no longer endurance and achievement, of rebuilding and hope. And it's this journey of self-discovery, of self-overcoming of the limits built in. It is a real eye-opener about what it means to live with purpose. Because after all, the greatest change happens when we learn to look at the inside of it with honesty, and with the understanding that the power to change our reality. That is first of all the courage to face our own truths that are hidden. And it is this courage that leads us to choose the path of perseverance, even when it does seem to be a challenge, because we all know that in the end, behind the scenes of our history is written by those who have had the courage to look inside, and you decide that you are worth something more, something better. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation happens at the very time when we realize that a journey is not made up only of the large steps or making momentary, but a series of small, daily choices, which together shape our destiny." And a lot of the time, these choices seem to be invisible and silent, almost like a behind the scenes of a theatrical production, where the audience can only see what is on the stage, but not in the rat race, the tests, and adjustments that take place behind the curtain. It is precisely here that our way of thinking and begin to shape our own reality. Every decision we make, every thought of what you eat has a direct impact on the quality of our experience. And as much as it seems we're only living in the present, and in fact, we are building for the future with each and every action, whether it's conscious or not. When we reflect on such a routine for these choices, we found that the majority of them are driven by a kind of internal narrative, a story we tell ourselves about who we are, what we deserve, and as far as you can get. In this narrative, one that is many, many times, is related to the limitations of a truth that hides many do not know, that we are, in essence, the authors of our own destiny. It has a profound effect, because when you become aware that you have the power to rewrite this story, we begin to see the possibilities in a whole new light. We do not become victims of our circumstances, and we are the protagonists of our own, a transformation. And here comes a question that many duck face from the front with the courage to admit that, until now, you may have been stuck in a comfort zone, feeding you excuses or reasons that prevents us from moving forward. But at the same time, courage also, it is a release. It gives you the power to decide whether to change change the root. It is for this reason that true strength is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to face up to it, to acknowledge their roots, and to use that awareness as a fuel to keep you going. The impact of this change in perspective is so great that it echoes in every aspect of life, be it in relationships, in your career, or emotional health. And then, when that transformation is internal, it happens. Everything around us starts to get in the line, as if the universe was conspiring in favor for those who have had the courage to do the inner work of revision and renewal. This is a journey of self-discovery also means that many of our limitations are, in fact, mentally constructed, the invisible walls that we build up over time, often without realizing it. And as soon as these barriers are built, we are invited to question everything they believe to be the truth. After all, what really matters is our willingness to go above and beyond what you already know about, to explore new possibilities, and to challenge our own limits. This is the essence of the transformation is, to understand that, behind every decision, there is an opportunity for growth, giving a new meaning to what seemed to be a fixed and unalterable, and, as well, to create a new life, more in tune with who you really are and what we want in our life. To the degree that this understanding deepens, it becomes clear that the impact of a change in the mindset is the multiplier. It is not just about the win, something that is external, but rather to redefine what we believe to be possible. It is a silent revolution that begins with each one of us, fed by the small actions of daily living, a new way of looking at the obstacles and opportunities for you. This new perspective allows us to understand that true strength lies in our ability to continue to learn from your failures and celebrate each step forward, however small it may seem. So, in our story, it ceases to be an account of the limitations and with a history of achievements, discoveries, and to continuous evolution. And at that point, it becomes clear that the journey of transformation is a process that never ends, as each step is revealed, bringing new horizons and new learning tools. That's the beauty of it, to realize that we are all eternal learners for life, with the opportunity of rewriting of our history from the time that we have decided to take control of our own destiny. And with that movement, and the impact goes beyond the individual, touching those around us. After all, it's a change of mindset is infectious, like a seed that, when planted with a plan, you can inspire others to break free from your own limitations in order to discover the strength that lies within you. For this reason, to think about all of this, it's an opportunity to wake up to a new stage, a stage where the real power lies in our willingness to take action and to question, to continue to evolve. With each step taken in this direction, it is a statement that deserves something more, something better, and that no matter where we are at right now, it is still possible to choose a path of transformation. The truth hides behind all of this is that, in essence, the change starts in our mind, in our decision to believe that you can be, do, and have more of them than you think. And if you make this choice, and the impact of our lives if it becomes inevitable, a natural consequence of those who do not dare to look inside and to challenge their own limitations in order to build you a story of courage, authenticity, and real impact. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the transformation that we don't happen by chance. It is a result of a series of small, everyday decisions to wake up the inside, which is often hidden under layers of fear, doubt, and of their daily routine. When we begin to understand that true change begins in our minds, it's more clear to you. It's like opening a window, there's a lot of time has been closed, letting in the fresh air, and new opportunities to get into. And that openness, that willingness to explore what's beyond what we're used to it really does make a difference in our journey of growth. If you think about it, we realize that a lot of times we carry concepts and constraints that have been imposed on it by external influences, or even by our own negative experiences. These beliefs become the truth that is hidden, a kind of filter that distorts our perception of reality. For example, someone who grew up with who wasn't able to gain a great end embedded in this idea, not realizing that it was created by a narrative that is not in harmony with the essence of the real. And then, all of her career shall be affected by such a bias in our perception, creating a vicious cycle that reinforces the belief of the whole church. The discovery of that truth is hidden. It is liberating because it allows us to see beyond the veil. We've covered you with no excuses, justifications, or even to abandon. When we begin to question these limitations are built in, to open up the space for new possibilities, everything changes. It's like, all of a sudden, a bright light began to illuminate the path before the dark, showing that the greatest barrier to many times as we are to ourselves, to our mind, which insists on the need to maintain the status quo. And at that time, the decision to move, it becomes a matter of priority, and the courage to challenge what they have been taught as truth. This is a change of mindset affects everything in our daily lives. The decisions that we take in are no longer being impulsive, or that are based in fear, going on to reflect a new attitude of self-confidence and purpose. Every step in the direction of what we really want is a statement of what we are capable of overcoming any obstacle, even those that may seem insurmountable at first glance. And this doesn't just happen overnight. It is a solid construction and a journey of self-discovery, where every minor victory victory, it feeds you the confidence to move forward even more. The secret is that many times, it is in the understanding of the transformation is not a one-off event, but is the sum of small efforts, of the choices that strengthen our brand new story. When we begin to see the truth hidden behind our own limitations becomes all the more clear to you, we find that the impact we can make in your life, our own history, and in those around us, is out of proportion to the courage to face our own shadows. It is a process that requires patience, persistence, and above all, an open mind, to learn and to unlearn whenever you need it. And then, when you go deeper in the understanding, it is clear that this journey of transformation is not only a question of a change in behavior or meet the goals of the materials. It is, above all, an internal revolution, a true redefinition of who we are and what we believe to be possible. It is at this point that a lot of people get stuck, frustrated by not seeing instant results, keeping in mind that the more radical change that occurs in the mind, the soul, and the core of our heart. And it is this essence that, when ignited, has the power to create a reality that is totally different from that which has been built up to now. At every step you take, every decision of a challenge to a belief in limited, we are building a brand new standard on the mental, a new storyline that will strengthen our autonomy and our ability to have a positive influence on the impact that we want to deliver. This is a journey of discovery, of revelation, where each and every insight, it is essential to understand that the greatest transformation happens from the inside to the outside. And when you see that, you begin to build an all-new story, a story that is truly our own, free from the lies that are imposed by fear or doubt, but also one of hope, courage, and authenticity. He comments that it makes no sense to me. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, as it's the very essence of that journey of transformation. You are just in the ability to see beyond the surface, to question what we were taught as absolute truth. Many of the times, we stuck to the narrative that it was built on external influences, by the opinions of others, or our own limitations, internalized over time. And this, well aware of that we could rewrite our story, this is the first step to changing needs. But, for this reason, it is important to understand that all of these stories and these scripts that we have also a burden of emotions, beliefs, and values, which many times they don't even belong to us than the truth. When we first started to explore this deeper level, we found that the impact of these beliefs in our lives is so much greater than we might have previously thought. They shape our choices, our actions, and, of course, the way we see the world around us. And a lot of times, these are the same beliefs that they create a kind of prison are invisible, limiting our true potential, and stopping us from achieving what we really want. In this case, truth hides lies in the discovery that you can choose which of these routes to follow, what are the stories that we want to keep, and what we can do away with the guts. This freedom to choose is, in fact, a revolution on the inside. This is the wake-up call for the ability to transform our emotions, how to reprogram the mind, and to align our actions with what we truly believe to be our purpose. And this transformation will not happen in real time, such as one-click magic, but through a journey of self-discovery, where each step reveals a new layer of the self. It's a constant search for authenticity, over the most genuine and which are, in fact, no masks, no filters. And when you do that, you start to realize that the impact of this change spreads on all areas of our lives, impacting our relationships, our career choices, our emotional health. At the bottom, on this journey of transformation, this is also a great message, one that happens behind the scenes in our minds and in our hearts. This is a liberation movement, the demystification of a limiting belief and care of a new narrative, one that is more in tune with who you really are. And to be free of these shackles, we make room for real growth, for the courage to explore the unknown, be daring, and to create a reality which reflects our essence is closer to the truth. And it is precisely at this point that we begin to understand the role of conscious decisions in the process. Each and every choice we make, however small it may seem, it has the potential to set off a chain of changes. It's like a seed that can be planted with the intention to flourish into something more. And at the same time, we are not aware of the true. The transformation is not a matter of perfection, but about self-discipline. To continue on, even when fear tries in the stall, to reaffirm our commitment to the internal, to remind you that we are the authors of our own story. This understanding leads us to reflect on the importance of being open-minded, be willing to learn, unlearn, and to reinvent itself constantly. After all, life is a continuous stream of opportunities, and the more open we are to change, the more easy it will be to navigate these seas of uncertainty and confidence. And in this movement, we find that the biggest impact we can have is the one that happens internally, in the way we think, feel, and act. Because of the transformation of our way of seeing the world, we can begin to turn also to the impact we have on it. And, in this context, it is clear that it is the journey of the transformation of a building's daily, a conscious choice to look within, to embrace our shadows and lights with the same sincerity. It's a process of awakening that is never ending. As each new layer is revealed, he invites us to go deeper, to explore new opportunities for growth and self-discovery. story. And in doing so, we realize that we are actually living in the story that is our own, free from the mask of the lies that prevent us from being who you truly are. In a story that is now gaining strength on the authenticity and the courage to move forward, even in the face of the mystery of what the future holds for us. Leaving the story up in the air, it's inevitable to think about the strength that lies in our capacity for decision-making and the host of our own truth. Because at the end, the greatest impact of all of this trip's going on inside of us, and that is what truly shapes our reality in the long term. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because they understand the power that is within each one of us is like the unveiling of a secret guarded for centuries by the time." When we pause to reflect on our choices, we realize that they are not the only choices are time-sensitive, but the bridges that connect the past, present, and future, in a way that many don't realize. Every decision we make carries an invisible impact, a result that goes above and beyond what we were able to see it at the time. It's as if we're building a kind of a mosaic, where each and every piece of every little decision that contributes to the form of our story, the more real the one that really reflects who we are, in fact. In the transformation, it is just at this point. It is not a change in the surface, which is based on the appearance or expectation of the outside, but the internal developments, which arises from the in-depth understanding of one's own truth. When we allow ourselves to look on the inside, facing the things that a lot of times we would prefer to hide it, we can begin to understand just how much emotions, our thoughts, and our actions are all linked together by a network of influence that shapes our reality. This is where it all connects with the courage to face our fears, and the willingness to challenge our own limits, and the urge to break away from patterns that no longer makes any sense. And in doing so, we found out that we are responsible for creating a new narrative, one that really represents you, which is to have a positive impact on our journey. A lot of people live trapped in a kind of routine mental, and where's the doubt, the fear, and uncertainty seem to be the only teammates. But the truth is hidden. It is that, on the back of these challenges, there is a quiet strength waiting to be awakened. It is the faith in yourself. Trust that it is possible to rewrite the story of a life that once seemed destined to make the same mistakes again. And the revelation does not come from outside, but from the inside out. It is a matter of transforming the mind, the understanding that every crisis is also an opportunity in disguise, as an invitation to grow and develop, and to become a stronger, more aware, more in line with her character. Along the way, a lot of times, we are faced with internal resistance. Is a kind of unseen battle is between what we are and what we want it to be. It is a process that requires patience, autocompaxo, and provision of learning with a behind the scenes of your own story. Because deep down, in the most lasting impact that we can make is the one that happens in our hearts and minds. And it is this inner transformation. While it seems to be silent, this is the one that actually triggers changes to the external material. When we align our actions with our deepest truths, everything around you begins to change in a way that is often not thought to be possible. And it is precisely at this point that the day-to-day makes it all the more exciting. Because once you understand that change begins from the inside to the outside, you start to realize that there's no limit to what you can achieve. With each step, and each made a conscious decision, it's a critical piece in the puzzle that reveals the very essence of who we are. And at the same time, their journey reveals the hidden truths that many of the times we would prefer to conceal, whether out of fear, insecurity, or a resistance to the new one. But when we give ourselves to the process, we see that it all makes perfect sense, and that every time a new discovery is an essential part of the construction of a life more in tune, more real, and more powerful. Now, I want you to imagine for a moment, what would your life be if you really realize the power they have to decide to transform and embrace your own truth? How would it look in the mirror? And you feel that whatever you want is within your reach. It's because you've decided you are not satisfied with the limits imposed by the external world, but to create a reality that is born on the inside. This is where the magic happens, where the revelations of the deepest will come to life and begin to shape a competitive edge in your career. And even in the face of a mystery that still surrounds the one who will come, such a connection with your inner power and becomes an anchor to keep you steady, confident that, regardless of the obstacles, there is a light that never goes out inside you. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. If you've read this far, I want to thank you, for you have followed each and every step of this journey. It's always nice to know that this is content that makes sense to you, and that, in some small way, it can bring you more clarity or an inspiration for your day-to-day life. If this resonated in some way, take the opportunity to leave a like so we can keep bringing this one to chat with. This connection is so special to you. Your opinion is important to us, so if you'd like, comment below, 'I'm with you till the end,' or any phrase that shows that the content has come to you of the truth. This will help you to create an exchange is even more true amongst us. And, if you like what you see, remember that there's a video right here on the side which complements this subject. This is a continuation of that. You can further expand your understanding and help you apply them in practice. Click there, and you still with me here, because the best is always to come. Each image is a great opportunity to learn a little bit more. You can connect the light and the nature of this universe that we're building together. So it's your call. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, because the idea here is to always bring you content that is useful and of value, thinking of you on your journey. I hope to see you in the next video, the one power that has become our hallmark. Until then, keep believing in your inner strength. It is the biggest guide in this journey.